Okay. I have a lot to talk about and I didn't mentally prepare myself. I completely forgot what I was gonna say. With my mom. Mom. Okay, as I was saying, God, I did not prepare a script or anything for this. Okay. Hello everyone. Do you ever like a thing so bad that you're like, wow, I wish I could learn programming just so I could make my own fan game for this thing I like? Well, me too! And this is my pitch for a fan game of a fan game. I don't know what the name of it would be exactly. I thought of Psyche of an Artist, but I feel like that could be improved. This fan game, this is just a pitch. This is just an idea I've had. You know, it doesn't matter if it doesn't get made into a real game or not. I will never learn how to code because that shit scares me. I don't know anything about coding right now, and I don't plan to learn in the future. So if somebody else wants to make the game for me, that would be very kind of you, but please credit me for the idea, and I would also appreciate it if you did actually bring me in to help with all of that, because, you know, I'm the one who came up with the idea. But yeah, again, basically, I'm not trying to present this as like, this is a game that I'm actually working on, because I'm not. It's just an idea. It's just a pitch. It's just explaining, like, it's literally, it's like when you listen to a song and you zone out and you make an animation in your head. It was like that, but just with a game, and then it just like kept festering and like kept expanding, and now I have like a whole plot for it and everything. So this game would be like, first of all, I know that I made my psychoanalysis video on Cyrus Zurich, which was a lot of fun to make, but, you know, since then, I know, like, slightly more about Jungian psychology. I am still just a beginner, though, so I could still be making lots of mistakes, and I probably will. I already recognized, like, a day or two after I uploaded that video that there is some terminology I used that was slightly wrong, so I made, like, a billion corrections in the description and comments. I know that, like, I made that video on Cyrus, and you may be wondering, because this game will not be about Cyrus. Well, then why isn't it? It's because I have a feeling that the character this game will be centered on is just, like, more fun to think about, because Cyrus, in particular, in DRL, he's, like, it's kind of, like, laid out for you that he has a bunch of mental problems. Like, you can easily figure out his character and lots about his mental state because of the fact that his mental state is called into question. But this particular character, I feel like, is more secretive and, like, mysterious about it. Like, we don't really learn much about his past or how his mind really works in the depths. And the character I'm talking about is Forte! He's still one of my favorite characters, so, you know, there's not that much of a difference. But that's why this fan game pitch would be about him and not about Cyrus, because Cyrus I already dissected. I think it's Forte's turn now. And I just feel like, I don't know, Forte's mental state would be, like, more fun to make a game out of. I don't know, that probably sounds, like, really wrong, but you get what I mean, right? So I do want to clarify, first of all, that, again, we don't know jack shit about this guy, technically speaking, so this game is entirely just self-indulgent. It's based off, like, there are, like, actual theories, but there is also, like, my own headcanons, and, like, projecting, like, a lot of projecting, so it's literally just what I think of Forte's mental state, and then making a game based off of that. I have my talking points here, but they're pretty incomprehensible without context. So first, that is the game. That is, like, the game idea. The genre specifically is sort of like visual novel mixed with, like, RPG mixed with, like, psychological horror. It's basically, the vibe is basically Omori. I guess Omori is the closest thing we could get to this fan game pitch, in terms of, like, vibe and genre. So yeah, it's not like an RPG necessarily in the traditional sense. I guess maybe RPG then isn't really accurate. I don't really imagine, like, in terms of RPG, to me, it's, like, less gaining experience and leveling up, and more just the fighting aspect, like the boss battles and all of that. And basically, the plot I have in mind for this is that Forte is like the subject of like a psych eval or something. The game opens up with like, to be clear, Forte is the protagonist. He is the main character. He is the POV character. You are playing as Forte. And then your therapist is like, hey, like we need to like check up on your mental state, right? Like do like a check on yourself real quick and tell me like what sort of progress have you made with all these different parts of your psyche? Have you been integrating it well or something? Basically, it's about Forte's like mental health journey. And then basically, the whole like video game part of it is mostly just sort of like an analogy or like a metaphor for what's really going on in this therapy session. It's just like, it's easier to explain it as a video game, basically. The general idea is that you as Forte are in your own little mind world that's just like a void, and it's populated with different other Fortes that all represent a specific part of your psyche, like your ego, superego, ID, etc. And you can talk to all of these different Fortes, and the way you talk to them will influence your game journey and possibly the ending. I don't know, I haven't really decided on it yet. Probably not the ending, but it will definitely heavily influence your journey through the game. So, you do kind of have to be nice to yourself so you can integrate all of these different parts of you to like actually be like a mentally healthy person. If you get into too many fights, it's gonna bite you in the ass. So, the general goal is that you want to integrate these different parts of your psyche, the parts that are particularly bad or that you find bad in some way, such as, you know, mainly like the shadow, I guess also kind of the idea, but like the shadow, basically. The shadow is like the main villain here in this game, your shadow. So the goal is more to like integrate your shadow, so then that will help like kickstart a more healthy life for you, mentally speaking, right? So that is basically the goal of the game, is like you go through all of your different parts of your psyche until you reach your shadow, and you try to make peace with it. The structure of this game, like how it will go, is that every time you encounter a new part of your psyche, you can enter a dialogue with them, and some of them you are able to fight. And depending on like the outcome of the fight, that will also influence like the journey overall, because of course, depending on how you interact with other parts of your mind, it's gonna influence your mind. So, yeah. Now, the characters we have here is just the regular Forte again. He's the protagonist, he's a POV character. It's literally just Forte. I guess it would be the ego. I guess it would be his ego. And like overall, the conglomerate of Fortes, including him, would be the self. Then we have my personal favorite, who, I don't know what to call them. Maybe their name is Antigone or something. Anyway, they represent Forte's anima, but also kind of like a personification of what was it called again? Like mother archetype or something like that. They kind of represent both at once. Forte's like anima and also like his mother archetypally side. Basically, this is a more feminine character. This is overall meant to represent like the more feminine part of Forte. Now, Antigone or whatever their name is, I don't know. This is based off a single article I've read about the animas and anima. I don't really read about them because I just genuinely find them like the most confusing part. You know, I will link the article in the description for reference, but basically, Antigone overall, as the anima, acts sort of like this. According to the article, some typical qualities of the integrated anima are self-soothing, self-nurturing, and self-loving, access to creative inspiration, aka just creative overall, strong center and contained inner life, I don't really know what that means, capable of empathy, empathetic, able to make value judgments beyond the realm of pure rationality, access to feeling life, good relatedness, and happy. So keep that in mind, because a little bit later on I'm gonna explain how a displaced anima would affect your game journey. Next up, we have this guy who's like a priest overall, he, again, this is all, it's gonna sound like I'm making shit up because I am. You know, whenever I mention anything about Forte's mental state, it's like, it's just my headcanons of it. It's just like what I think of it. So, this priest guy would be Forte's super ego, and more specifically, it would refer to like his Catholic guilt and like overall his guilt and shame for mistakes he's made in the past. Now, when Antigone is also kind of like a main character, I feel like this priest guy wouldn't be as important. He's more of a side character. He's more to the side. I guess there wouldn't really be like a shop in this game, but he does also kind of have shopkeeper vibes in terms of like how important he is to the plot. AKA not really, but like he is there, and like he does sometimes say important things. I feel like overall this guy is mostly just like a looming presence than anything like really active. He's not a main character, but like he's there always. Next up we have this beast. So I actually don't really know what he would represent in Forte's psyche. I guess his ID. Now Forte's shadow, which I will talk about next, could also like count as his ID at the same time. I guess there are like different flavors of his ID, different parts of his ID. Now this dog guy is specifically aggressiveness, like aggression, and like, you know, the natural survival instinct, the instinct to protect yourself and all of that. He's basically like really literally wild and feral and like really combative. Like he will literally fight everything and everyone he sees just to like protect himself. But I feel like paired with the priest guy, the dog ID guy also like feels bad about the fact he acts this way. Like it's his immediate instinct to lash out to protect himself, but he feels like really bad about it, which is why he's fucking crying. So like it's basically that one audio. What was it like? I'm not a mean dog. I don't know why I bite, or however it went. That's basically him. Now next up is Forte's shadow. Rose, if you're watching this, which I'm sure you are. I did already. You know, this guy has already been existing for a while. I do headcanon Forte with OCD and BPD, which can produce sexually intrusive thoughts. aka just like intrusive thoughts, but specifically sexual in nature, and this guy is kind of like meant to embody. So theoretically, this is what I would consider Forte's shadow, in the sense that like this part, I've always imagined that like Forte, there are a lot of like maybe shameful things about his psyche, but this one would be the one that he's like most ashamed about and like trying to suppress the most. So that's why I think it qualifies for his shadow. And the way he generally acts is like all flirty and suave and like really like open, really like extroverted, really chatty, but he's also like kind of like manipulative and like controlling in a way. I don't really know how to describe. It's basically join the dark side, we have cookies. And then because this guy is the shadow, he is also one of the characters you can fight. So I feel like I should clarify, you can't fight Antigone necessarily. Maybe you will. I don't know if you should be able to fight them or not, but like you could definitely have a dialogue with them. I feel like Antigone is also the kind of character to like be like your sidekick or something, more important than like the priest one, because Antigone would at least also like be a main character alongside you. But I feel like that depends on how you approach them. Like, if you try to embrace them with open arms, then they'll stay fine and placid and, like, help you out. But if you, like, get into an argument with this part of your psyche, then, again, about the displaced anima, then they will become uncontained, constantly seeking external affirmation, not very creative, moody, bitchy, poor relatedness behavior in relationships designed to isolate the person from others, or just like overbearing overall, I suppose, masochistic, greedy, grasping, and self-centered. So Antigone, if you piss them off, if you fail to correctly integrate Antigone, then they will become more antagonistic and villainous, and then they won't be by your side anymore, and I feel like because Antigone overall would be like an important part of Forte's psyche, if you somehow have the gall to make them angry, then that will heavily affect like the rest of the game. Like maybe the boss battles will be harder or something. Maybe Antigone actively has it out for you and keeps trying to sabotage you in some way. Like it would just like make it's basically playing on hardcore mode. Like if this were an actual game and you try to speed run like the hardcore mode, the first thing you have to do is piss off Antigone forever, and then everything else is just like everything else has just been fucked up for you because you decided to mess up this one interaction that bad. I feel like Antigone, the reason why this would happen is because Antigone would be like really emotional, I guess, but not in the sense that they're in tune with their emotions. They're mostly just like petty than rational, right? And again, I do want to clarify, this sounds bad because they're supposed to be the more feminine part of Forte's psyche. Unfortunately, Carl Jung lived in like the 20th century or something, when gender roles and like the associated personality with each gender were like way more like prevalent and pressing, and women were made out to be these like really emotional, whiny bitches, while men were stronger but also like more emotionally distant and stoic. So that has heavily seeped into the anima and animus concepts and Jungian psychology, and it's a little bit uncomfortable to talk about because I obviously don't want to make it seem like it's misogynistic, but at the same time, it is literal psychology, and this fan game is based off psychology, so like I kind of have to, you know? It's not like I could just, like, I'm trying to be like accurate about the specific aspects from Jungian psychology I'm trying to portray here. So unfortunately, I have to keep in the part of Antigone being like really whiny and emotional when they're mad, especially. But yeah, basically, I feel like after pissing off Antigone, they would just get like really petty and like vengeful, and that's why they keep trying to ruin it for you. Now, back to the shadow guy. Since he is your shadow, he would also be like the final boss of the game, like the final big bad boss you have to defeat to achieve your goal. And this is his final boss form. Yeah, what a beast, am I right? I don't know why I chose, like, praying mantises for him. I just thought there's not really a reason behind it other than the fact that, like, insect body horror is cool, I guess. That's his final boss form. At the end of the game, you have to defeat that. And I feel like the way it would specifically go is, I did say the main inspiration is Omori, but there is also a bit of Undertale and Deltarune on the side, where, like, you can do, like, whenever it's your turn, you can do, like, a different thing each time, and the main outcomes are that you either kill the opponent or spare them. Theoretically, the goal here is to kill your shadow. Now, killing the shadow in this case doesn't mean like suppressing it even more and making it even worse for yourself. It's like a metaphor. Instead, it's supposed to be a metaphor for integrating with it, like defeating the shadow so it doesn't overwhelm you, but like you can still live in peace with it side by side and integrate it. So I feel like, you know, I do specifically imagine that superego and shadow, I feel like, are pretty contrasted. So I feel like because Forte's superego is represented by this priest guy, there is the action available in this boss battle to say a prayer, and like whenever you do that, your opponent, your shadow, loses like just 1 HP, but it does also make them like more aggressive. Maybe there's like an aggression meter somewhere on the screen or something, I don't know, and you have to like control it so it doesn't get too out of hand. That would serve to weaken them a little bit, but mostly just like piss him off, because, you know, stop saying those prayers. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you feeling guilt over everything and feeling like you have to call upon the Lord to help you. I'm sick of it. Shut up. Basically, once you defeat your shadow, yeah, I guess the game is over. I mean, you won. You did it. You're a healthy man now. You've been for therapy. You've successfully integrated the worst parts of yourself, and now you are a more mentally healthy person. But again, you know, with the different way you talk to each character, again, this would affect the way your game goes. Antigone, first of all, if you do not get along with them, it would basically just like put the game in hardcore mode. I feel like if you do get along with them and they help you out, it would make like each boss battle like easier. Well, not easier, but like normal difficulty. Maybe like they give you some items to help you out or something. And generally like this would matter in the end game, because maybe they like give you a specific item or skill that like you would very much like to have in the final boss battle, and if you don't, then it's gonna be really, really hard. Now, I feel like the priest guy in particular, you know, you don't really like talk to him much. You can't fight him. I feel like he's more so just off to the side, and you just like, you can't really go out and find him to talk to him. It's more like he comes to you whenever he feels like it. Maybe after every battle or something like that, like you get a dialogue from the priest. And I feel like overall you can't really do anything about him, because this would be a metaphor for just like by nature being like a guilty and remorseful person. So that's why I feel like you can't defeat him, you can't do anything about him. Like that like heightened superego and sense of guilt and morality and shame will just always be there. And like that is genuinely just one part of you, Forte, that you just cannot really get rid of. So that's why I feel like he's just always not necessarily like a parasite. I guess kind of like a parasite, but he's like really silent about it. Meanwhile, the dog guy you would definitely fight. Regardless of like the specific route you take, the specific options you do, it always starts with a fight with this guy. If you kill him, then that doesn't really affect the story much, but I feel like maybe that could definitely add to like your super ego. Like it would make the priest stronger in a bad way, because then he can guilt trip you even more. So killing the dog guy is basically like a way to make your mental health worse, which is not the point of the game. In fact, it's the exact opposite, but it's not like detrimental. The dog guy overall isn't as important as Antigone or anything, or like the Shadow. He's still pretty important, and like killing him would make it bad, would make it worse in the end room, but not that much worse. Meanwhile, instead, if you decide to spare him, which would be recommended for a smoother run, then like basically I feel like overall the way to spare him is just like to be completely like pacifistic and like try to calm him somehow. So I feel like once you manage to soothe him, then the fight will be called off. And I feel like overall, again, this guy is basically like mostly dog, so like he doesn't really speak. He does make a lot of angry dog noises, but like he doesn't really speak, and he's not very human in his behavior. And you could basically imagine this part of Forte as like kinda being connected to Hyde as an idea, just because of the dog theme. But anyway, it would basically be like fighting a dog. Like, you could either put down the dog to make you feel like you did something really bad, or you could try and tame the feral dog, so, you know, it won't try to bite or kill you anymore, which would be better for you. The Shadow, I guess you would have a fight with at first, but like you're not able to kill him. I feel like the fight would be interrupted, and then he only makes a comeback at the end of the game when he's grown into something much worse, and then you are definitely instructed to kill that. So yeah, that's basically my idea for a Forte-centered fan game. Again, you know, all of this is like made up. All of the characters are made up just based off what I personally think about him as a character. But, you know, if this sounds cool to you, then I'm glad you're interested. I used OBS to record this, by the way. I did not know OBS was free. I thought it was paid. I thought all the big streamers were using OBS because it was a paid program and that's why it was so good. You're telling me it's free? I love OBS. So I guess I've resolved the screen recording issue for those who were wondering. I do have some other videos I need to finish editing by the end of the month. I'm recording this on June 12th, by the way. I don't know when this video will come out. And that's basically all I had to say, I guess. Thank you.